Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to tell you all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Don't miss out on our comic book creator interviews, including our monthly Chichester chats with comic book legend DG Chichester, superhero movie brackets in our search for the worst comic book movie of all time, and many, many more specials, all completely uncensored. Access starts for $3 a month, full video when you pledge $5 a month. Check out the link in our show notes or go to patreon.com/capesandlunatics. Hope to see you there.
To me, hearties, and welcome once again to Full Stream Ahead. I am your captain, Charlie, the Professor Esser, and with me, as always, is my first mate and skinny rich friend.
It's Mozz.
Hey, Mozz, so glad to have you.
Good to be here.
In a world of capes and lunatics, gods and monsters, there are those who fight evil with only the bow they have in their hand. They are Hawkeye, and this is their story. Partners, am I right? Season 1, Episode 4. Secrets are revealed and hard truths emerge, culminating in a battle against two opposing forces. Our writers this week are Heather Quinn, Aaron Cancino, and Jonathan Igla, who all are getting this created for television credit by, for some reason, which is weird, but let's just double check this. Our director, of course, is Bert, with Birdie.
Bert and Birdie.
As Bert and Birdie. Man, that's like they're two great tastes that taste great together. They're the chocolate and peanut butter of television direction. Again, as I said, Heather Quinn, Aaron Cancino, have writing credits, though it doesn't say what they did, although Jonathan Igla gets that created by for television. Stan Lee, Don Heck, they get that Hawkeye character. Our executive story editor this week is Tanner Bean, along with fellow executive story editor Katrina Matthewson. Jonathan Igla, not only did he create the whole thing, but he's also the head writer this week because, hardest working man in show business. Yeah, so this episode, my friend, it is a thing. We, of course, had opened up with our good friend Jacques with his sword at Hawkeye's throat. And this devolves into a little thing where Eleanor comes in, and she's like, why is there an Avenger in my living room? Wah. And Jack says, oh, is that who this is? I am sorry. There is so much with Jacques' character where it is like, we can tell you're faking.
Right.
We know this is all a huge act. You are pretending to be this buffoon, but nobody is this much of a buffoon.
Right.
Jim Carrey in Dumb and Dumber wasn't this much of a buffoon, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think with people like that, the duality of their personality is so always there, right? That at a certain point, it's not a character anymore. It's an equal and just as valid piece of who they are as a person, right? So it's like he gets to escape into this character. He is that guy, when he needs to be.
Yeah, and here's the thing. It's like everything about these scenes, nothing that Jacques does makes sense to just be an idiot. And the real thing that really hits me in this is Jacques knows Hawkeye took the sword back.
But it's like
he's standing right there.
Yeah.
He's standing right there. You see him actually do this whole big wide eye look to the left, and oh, where am I looking? And it is intentionally, like, you know, there's this thing with the way he does his eyes, where it's clear he can see everything around him, but he's ignoring it. And he just put this sword in the corner. He's going to notice it being missing unless he wanted it to go missing.
Do you think he knows Hawkeye is Ronin? Or do you think he knows he's connected to it somehow? Like when he sees, oh my God, that's Hawkeye. Does he automatically think, oh boy, this has something to do with Ronin or whatever? Do you think he has an inclination?
I actually think it's pretty much. I honestly think it's something of an open secret. I think that it's like not known because it's not publicized, but it's sort of like what was his name? I'm blanking on the actual comedian's name. He played Laka Gravitz on Taxi. God, why can't I think of his name? Andy Kaufman. Yeah, Andy Kaufman. So Andy Kaufman there was a persona that was best friends with Andy Kaufman.
Tony something.
Victimone.
No. It was I can't think of his name, but it was Tony something.
Tony. Tony's. Oh yeah, that's right. Victimone is the real guy. I don't know. Tony. But he had this lounge act character that was his
Tony Clifton.
Tony Clifton. Thank you. I knew Mozz would know. Mozz knows everything. But, it's this idea that, everyone knew Andy Kaufman was Tony Clifton.
Right.
But also at the same time, it was just a professional courtesy. You didn't make a big deal about that fact. You just sort of went along with the story because, it helps. It helps everybody's story that, Hawkeye, he went out and was Ronin. And that was a thing. And here's what I'll tell you. It's not like it's public knowledge. It's knowledge to people. So, like, the people that were being murdered by Ronin, I think they knew it was Hawkeye. I mean, clearly the Avengers knew it was Hawkeye. Because when Rhodey comes in and is talking to Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson, yes, but Black Widow, saying, person's going in, pretty much know it's Hawkeye. Killing all these mobsters.
So that means the big guy knows Hawkeye is really Ronin as well.
Probably. Right. That's the thing. It's like that's the thing. I don't think because the issue is it's sort of like what real leverage does this give you? If Hawkeye is Ronin, do you have any real leverage over Ronin or Hawkeye because of that? Because first off, if you make a statement, first off, let's face it, people love the Punisher. So it's not like he killed a bunch of mobsters in foreign countries. Doesn't that what our government does? There's a whole thing where it's like people are going to be, well, was he like on orders from Nick Fury to do it? There opens up all these questions about whether or not this was really a transgression that I don't think you have to. I think it's more for his personal pride. He doesn't want it publicized. It's like, it's like Sylvester Stallone. And it
seems like that alter ego has been used already by Kingpin to do his dirty work. And if it's found out that it's really Hawkeye, then, everybody be like, wait a second. Ronin didn't kill my guys. Who could benefit from killing my guys? It was probably Kingpin, so it's like probably not good for him for that to be released either.
Yeah, I mean, I think it gets down to the fact that at the end of the day, it's less about, it's less about the Ronin materials as it is about the watch. Because the watch is specifically what they were going to steal.
Okay, explain to me the deal with the watch, because maybe I'm lost or I'm not as well versed in the lore, or am I missing something really recent that I should notice? What is the watch about?
Okay, well, without getting into the next episode,
fair enough.
The watch, and he says this, and it ties someone who's been out of the business for a long time,
right,
to the business. So it lets you know someone who basically it outs a former deep cover SHIELD agent. This is the thing, because this is a woman's Rolex, which you can tell by the way. Yeah, and I didn't catch it at first, but if you look up women's Rolexes, you'll see that there's a very big difference. At least there were for the period of Rolex this was. A little different now but men's Rolexes always had a very big dial. Back in 70s, 80s, 90s, and that was what made it a Rolex. But of course you had to make women's Rolexes for rich women. And so they would taper the dial off, and it would be a thinner band because women tend to have thinner wrists than men. And of course, when you're a man, you want to have a big watch to show how big you are. Have you seen how big my watch is? And that's the idea here so it is a woman's watch. And as we also see in this, because there is a tracer in it, there is some sort of technological component about this watch that it has some sort of information that ties back to whoever this watch belongs to.
So whoever had it did not have the wherewithal to put it in some sort of a radio wave blocking container or something.
Well, it probably was at one point. It probably was at Avengers Compound.
No, well, fair enough, but it just seems to me that it was the same dummies who tried to steal it then that probably got their hands on it finally.
Well, I mean, yeah, because we saw the Tracksuit Mafia guide at the first episode.
Oh, right. Okay, fair enough. Right. So it's like they're yeah.
Yeah. When it's in Maya's apartment, it's because Maya had it, Maya stole it, Maya got it, because that's what they were looking for. That's something the boss wanted. And, arguably because obviously this is someone that Clint knows and is very close to, that this might be leverage over Ronin. This might be a leverage over Clint more than just the fact that he was Ronin is leverage over him. Because let's face it, he's already saved the world twice. Quite frankly, a few dead mobsters is not going. Sort of like what was I want to say it was Star Trek 3, the one with the whales. Where he's okay. Well, you didn't see the one with the whales? Oh wow. Okay. Anyway, so it's the one where they go back in time in the stolen Klingon ship. And because the aliens are attacking Earth, and the aliens want to talk to whales, reasons. Because it's Star Trek. Star Trek was big for like things like that. And at the very end, they're like, okay, because you violated all these rules and violated the Temporal Prime Directive and did all these things you're not supposed to do, we are demoting you to the rank of captain. Because he was an admiral. And it's like, oh, I guess what a horrible fate for me to be a captain again.
That's funny.
Yeah, and that's sort of, I think, what Clint would get. It's like, well, you are now. We demote you down to Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right.
Clint Barton. Let that be a lesson to you.
Man, I didn't want to do any of it. I don't want to be an agent of nothing anymore. You can have it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we hereby order you to live on your farm with your family for the rest of your life.
Ah, shucks.
Yes. So that's basically, I think that's sort of the idea there. But obviously, whatever is in the watch is important, and it's dangerous, and it's something that people are worried about because even Warren makes the point that Clint didn't know the watch was still around. Of course, Clint thought all this stuff was destroyed. That's the thing. It's like Clint thought, Thanos blew up the compound. Didn't everything just get destroyed? And it's like, no, Clint. People took that stuff and they're selling it. You should probably assume everything that you didn't want taken out of the S.H.I.E.L.D. compound was taken out of the S.H.I.E.L.D. compound. Or the Avengers compound,
So do you think it was taken out of the compound by the government? Like not S.H.I.E.L.D., but by the government?
No, it was taken out by damage control.
Who is damage control? Is it the government or is it also S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Damage control is a private organization funded by...
okay. So you meant it as like a proper noun, not a...
Yeah. Well, no, because we already met damage control in Spider-Man: Homecoming. You know, that was the people that who got the contracts to gather up all the super science after alien attacks. And the idea was that it was a private-public partnership between Stark Technologies and the federal government. And I mentioned this, I think, in our first episode on this, that when, you know, basically there's only a small group of people who are trained to work with alien technology, and they probably all work for Adrian Toomes. So, essentially, that, you know, having worked for Adrian Toomes is now actually something you put on your resume when you're applying for damage control. Because you need someone that knows what they're doing. You don't need someone who's going to turn themselves into unstable molecules accidentally when they pick up the wrong device. And that's the thing. It is so some of these people were probably on the take, and not for nothing, probably a lot of people. Mozz, I don't want to shock you, but there may be people in the U.S. government who are on the take. Yes, I know. It's shocking. It's hard to believe. But when we think about a character like, the Contessa Allegra Valentina de Fontaine. I forget where the Valentina comes in there. It's the Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. She gets her hands dirty. And she gets her hands dirty in a lot of ways. And probably one of the ways she gets her hands dirty is dealing with various and sundry criminal organizations around the world that benefit the cause. You know, when the U.S. invaded Italy in World War II, they worked with the mafia because, the mafia didn't like fascism either. So it's like, you know what? You help us get rid of the fascists.
So they're helping Allegra de Fontaine acquire stolen Alien or S.H.I.E.L.D. or Avengers weapons that they can weaponize.
Or Allegra is helping them by letting them acquire it so that now they help her when she needs them. It's, it's
it feels to me like a tactical advantage to have a hand on the technology that the Avengers were using would be very beneficial for somebody in the government. So that's interesting. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I feel like you're working for her.
I mean, if you remember that this is like this was the whole problem, that they'd get a super scientist who uncovered the secret of the universe, like Hank Pym, and then they'd suddenly go dark on them. They realized they were too smart to realize how dangerous this stuff would be in their hands. And so, fortunately, Tony Stark died, and they could sort of do a quick sweep out there. And, and then you have the theory that Hank Pym's been replaced by a Skrull. And that's why he's given Hawkeye Pym Tech. That's basically, there's a lot of hands and a lot of pockets right now. And that's where things are going to get interesting. I think. But yeah. But in this episode, what do we really get here? We have
you have the conversation at the table, and then the other big thing is when she goes to get the arrows and meets the LARPers, which I thought was kind of like, I don't know if they meant to play it off as to throw you off, because the cop who finally says, yeah, we'll do it, she has a real suspicious air about her. As soon as she said she would do it, and being that she's so green, that Kate is so green, I thought it was intended to play off like, oh, Kate is getting hoodwinked right now. They're tricking her into thinking that they're going to help her, and she's good. And then they just turn out to be like nerds. So I was like, So then I'm wondering, it's like, did the actor overplay it, or were they trying to purposely throw us off?
So if you go into the deep dives on this,
okay,
two of the LARPers, including the cop, are their names match up with characters who, I don't know if they're actually Hawkeye, but basically there's a group of hench villains called the Death Throes. and they are basically jugglers.
Okay. What do you like? Circus jugglers, or
Yeah, like
is that a metaphor for something?
Yeah, no.
Oh,
like circus jugglers. So they like throw things with deadly accuracy. They know where they're going to go. And Orville, who's the chubby guy, his name matches up with the character. I believe it's Oddball. And the cop is, as is embroidered on her bag, Bombshell, who just throws bombs. Because, quite frankly, if you're a juggler and you want to be a threat, throw here, hold a bomb.
Right. Right.
Because this idea is that, this idea of deadly accuracy, it's really impressive, but it's also something that you can learn.
So they might actually be bad guys.
They might be somewhat bad guys, yeah. And that's the thing. They're that hench level bad guy.
Right, so they're just opportunistic, chaotic neutrals, so to speak.
Well, exactly. There are super villains like Baron Zemo, Doctor Doom, Kingpin, who have mad schemes that involve everything. And then there are people that are just really good at something, and they just need a paycheck. And it's like, right. I'll get a better paycheck throwing bombs than I will, putting out fires. Okay. Yeah. You get paid more to start a fire than to put out a fire? Well, then, maybe I can use my talents for that, And it doesn't make you a bad guy, arguably, although probably you kind of are, because you are not worrying about the consequences of your actions. But at the same time, you may just be someone who's trying to, make your way in this crazy world of superheroes.
Yeah, trying to make their way in an imperfect world. How can we expect them to, get anything close to perfection? They're going to fall. They're going to make mistakes.
Yeah, so that's something that's with them. But the LARPers are definitely an interesting group of people. And as pointed out, they are, these are cops. These are firefighters. These are people that actually do put themselves day to day in the line of fire. Maybe, gee, a cop who's a little bit corrupt. I don't want to shock you, Mozz, but just as sometimes you will meet a corrupt politician,
right?
There may be a few cops in New York City who may be a little bit on the take.
No.
Yes. I mean, honestly, and within that entire concept, just the entire proposal, just a little bit of light evidence tampering. And just like, okay, yeah, no, sure, I do that all the time. And which should be your first red flag. Wait a minute, is this a good thing? That they're okay with evidence tampering. That this idea that, I can walk in there, I can grab your stuff, I can walk out. Would you like a key of cocaine while I'm in there? Would you like some extra octopus arms?
Right.
Really, got a lot of stuff locked up there. What do you need? But the LARPers are nice people, because arguably they are nice people.
I want them to be nice people.
Well, I think they are nice people. I don't think they're not genocidal. But are they going to worry about the fact that they're working for someone who's genocidal? Maybe not as much as they probably should.
Right.
Because not for nothing, they already work for the U.S. government. So,
yeah,
just a joke. We're much less genocidal than we used to be. Somewhat.
Probably also debatable.
Yeah, we're somewhat less genocidal. Yeah. I know. Hey, politics ruins everything, because it's like, oh, yeah, that's right. The world is full of evil people, and we're the evil doppelganger universe, That's what I always say. It's like the reason why we make those evil universes and other things so comic bookly evil is because we can't imagine subtlety in what's going to be the evil. Like, if we assume we're good, what are the evil people doing? And it's,
But maybe the answer is that a certain level of ugliness is always required. A certain level of bureaucracy is always required when you're managing this many people making this many choices.
You can make the argument. Yeah, I mean, you can. That's that's the thing, and that is the road to hell paved with good intentions idea in general. It's just like, you know what, and that may even be, Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine's thing. It's like, hey, it's a messy world, but I'm not trying to overthrow.
What, like, you want to go get messy? No, you don't, right? So sit down and let me deal with the mess.
Yeah, do you want aliens invading? Do you want super soldiers?
Right. Or do you want to be the one to go fight them? Oh, that's right. That you don't know how to do that? Okay, then let me do my job.
Exactly, and to be fair, Nick Fury was the same way. Nick Fury greenlit Project Insight. He had questions about it and he had doubts about it, which is why he was lucky to have Captain America there. But the fact of the matter is, it wouldn't have gotten that far if he had really shut it down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If he had really, he had his doubts, he had his questions, but he said, well, but we'll do it. We'll use the atom bomb properly, right?
Yeah.
We're not just gonna decide to drop a second one just to see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the thing. That's politics, and that's the world.
The fact that we end up with that reveal on the rooftop involving Allegra de Fontaine tells me that she's interested in former Avenger tech.
Oh, well, I mean, not Allegra, but you mean Yelena.
Yeah, right, Yelena, but she's working for...
Yeah, but
right. So it points to her involvement, the fact that Yelena is there, which tells me that she's the one behind trying to obtain all these event artifacts or that sort of thing.
Yeah, and that, it's an interesting question with what Yelena is doing there. Because we see her... Because of course, this gets to them breaking in, and and just for fun, there's a nice little montage in the middle here where we do the Christmas, where Kate tries to do all the Christmas things that Hawkeye's missing, and he says, he can knock someone out with a quarter, and no, I think he said a penny.
Oh no, you're right. He said a dime was too small, a nickel, or no, maybe.
Yeah, he said you need a quarter, maybe a nickel. But it says, but a dime is too small, and I'd assume a penny's too small too. And really, I would imagine you really want a $50 with that.
Although I feel like it'd be hard to throw because the technique he's using is more like a snap and a push. I don't know if a $50 would be huge.
Yeah. I mean, that's but it's gonna have more half. Yeah, so you want to use it at a much shorter distance. Is what I I would say. But yeah, so obviously it has to be in that sweet spot where a quarter is really the best. To have that kind of punch,
Yeah.
I would imagine nickels are good because nickels are very heavy and dense.
Yep.
But also very pinpoint, so you have a lot focused. So, So now that's the thing you want to see. You want to see Hawkeye take out Ant-Man with a nickel.
Oh, that would be cool.
Where you see, and it's neat when they're playing with it and they're ricocheting it off of things and turning on and off things, which was fun. But I don't think any of that, the force they were using would have in any way knocked out a person in those situations. Because like if you were turning on a button or off a button with the force that it actually takes to knock out a person, you would probably smash the button.
Yeah.
You would probably have destroyed the button. So he's playing it like, and again, he's showing her some techniques,
Right, and she's probably not that good at it, and he probably wasn't flinging it at full force either. But there are certain places like your orbital bone right here. If someone were to be that accurate to be able to hit you maybe right here, it could shatter that, and that would ruin your day.
Well, ruin your day. I'm just saying it might not knock you out.
It might. I mean, yeah, you're right. You
could hurt someone real bad.
Yeah,
I'm sure you could hurt someone, and I'm imagining even in this, it's definitely a rabbit punch going to the medulla oblongata. You want to hit them right in that soft spot in the back of the head, and that could knock someone out briefly.
I could see that.
Yeah, you just want to get that, knock. But yeah, trying to do it from the front angle, that's hard. That's why rabbit punches are illegal in boxing. But probably not in MMA. I don't know. Yeah,
no. The rule is it's behind the ears is illegal. On the side is fine, but down the top of the crown and the back is completely illegal. because that's
Oh,
what
yeah.
it's
And you
unnecessary.
can really hurt a person there. Like,
Exactly.
You
The
don't
point
want
is
to be
to
cracking a fontanelle. That's,
yeah, you want to be competitive and you want to like, find out, but those are things that just, it's
yeah,
like,
you don't,
it doesn't help anybody.
MMA, yeah. You don't want it top of the head and along the back. Yeah. That's banned. So it's not really all holds barred. Well, I guess it's no holds barred, but some punches are barred.
Yeah, some holds are barred too. Like small joint manipulation is illegal. Like break fingers and whatnot.
Yeah.
I don't think wrist locks are illegal though.
Yeah, I would imagine they wouldn't be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you do a scissor hold?
What's a scissor hold?
That's when you put when you link your ankles instead of doing a figure four.
Yeah, no, I think that's totally legal. Yeah. There's some really, devastating ankle locks and submissions on your legs that can tear your entire knee up so fast. But they're allowed.
Yeah, I mean the real trick with those is you get them around the abdomen. You can just stop. You can prevent someone from breathing. You can knock someone's wind out really easy with that.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, because your legs are stronger than your lungs. So. I guess the only downside is that if their hands are free, they can hit your knee, and and that's going to make it harder.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of complex holds you can do, but a scissor hold is one of the most powerful holds in wrestling. I know that, which is why it's illegal. You can't do a scissor hold. You can do a figure four. You can't do a scissor.
Interesting.
You got to keep your ankle above your knee. At your knee or above, because anything below the knee becomes a scissor lock, and that becomes too dangerous. At least that's what it was in high school wrestling. I don't know. No,
I could totally understand that because in a lot of jiu-jitsu schools, especially for the beginners or the first 2 or 3 belts, they don't really like you learning moves that involve your knees or your ankles because they're so dangerous. Inexperienced people doing it can just ruin somebody's like whole year or 2 by doing something haphazardly.
So we do get to the apartment where they have tracked the phone to. We also get to see again Lauren, Hawkeye's wife, coming in, really doing her spycraft. We're getting these little bits here and there that, I guess Lauren knows a bit about the business.
Yeah, that's why she's totally cool with his work stuff.
Yeah, because,
she understands the consequences.
Exactly. She knows what he got into. She knows what this is, and she knows because she was doing this, They probably met on the job.
Right.
Which got everyone into the whole Mockingbird stuff. Is she Mockingbird? Is she the new MCU Mockingbird? Which got everyone else saying, no, MCU already has a Mockingbird. It's Adrian Pilecki, da-da-da-da. And, which gets into a whole lot of nonsense. Here's what I always have to say about Mockingbird. Clint and Bobby Morse have a very dysfunctional relationship. They don't have a happy married with kids kind of story.
Right.
And no matter any iteration, even the current Wastelanders, they're together, but it's still a super tense story where basically, Clint runs off halfway through it. So, it is this fact that they are not a functional, Clint and Bobby are not a functional couple in any universe. This is if he met another equally skilled SHIELD agent named Lauren, who wasn't Mockingbird, who he actually could have a life with, and who could convince him to settle down. That's the thing. Because you got to have someone to let you know, hey, maybe we don't have to run forever. And not just, we don't have to run forever because we're too old to run, but just like, maybe we can settle down before we're too old to run and just actually have a life, and work it out. So that I think is going to be Lauren's reveal, that she was a SHIELD agent. Maybe she was a Black Widow too. Maybe she was the U.S. version of the Black Widows during the 1950s, part of their own super soldier serum
right.
plans, Maybe she knew Isaiah Bradley. We don't know yet.
Well, at this point, now the way they're building it up, I want to see a showdown between Lauren and Yelena Belova.
Well, we'll have to see, because, I mean...
Old school versus new school,
Yeah, well, it depends on how much she's kept in shape, and she might have, And especially if she has a little juice in her, Because I still say, and his name is Ivan. I want to say it's Man Mountain Marco, but I don't think he is. But I think that they're going to put him into a Man Mountain Marco kind of role in the MCU. That's the black tracksuit mafia guy. He's the big guy.
Right.
I want to say that guy's juiced. That guy has got super juice.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. If you think about it, in a universe where you had a Steve Rogers, the steroids have got to be really great in that universe.
Right.
It's got to, because, I mean, the technology, like, in the 40s, we had something super, they're not just going to be like, well, this is anabolic, this is, bull testicles, and this is stuff we refined from it. It's like, no, the technology is already advanced enough. People are going to figure out how to reverse engineer things. There's knowledge out there to get you to what gets you to a Luke Cage, quite frankly. No, Luke Cage got overcooked in the machine.
Overcooked.
It's been a long time since you watched Power Man, but yeah, or Luke Cage. Sorry, it's not called Power Man. It's called Luke Cage. Yes, although they do call him Power Man in it, which I always thought was cool. But yeah. So,
I also thought it was cool that he admits to Kate that he is Ronin.
Yeah, well, he says, during the blip.
And it's interesting, like
in their own way.
Like at first she wants to bring it up. He's like, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Unless you want me to talk about it, right? And then he wants to talk about it, but he doesn't want to say that he wants to talk about it. And when she's quiet for 2 seconds, he just starts opening up. And I was like, look at him now,
You know what? He's going through a lot right
now. It was good for him that he got to let it out. That was really good for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I agree. I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, he is going through, this is, the weight of all of this, where now he's got a freaking Robin showing up out of nowhere who just has to be his sidekick. And he's like, I don't need this. I really need to retire. I am too old for this, but my family is threatened. Because that's the thing. It's like he's not worried about Ronin for himself. He's worried about what could get tied back to his family.
Right.
And in this whole storyline, he is just desperate about, who am I going to lose next? Because I already lost Natasha. And it's interesting because he does not know Natasha is Yelena. Because he just knows that that's a Black Widow. He knows the fighting style. He knows who he's fighting.
So you think he might not know that she had a sister?
Well, I think that, he might know she had a sister. He might not know that is her sister. Unless he saw a picture of Yelena, he doesn't know who Yelena is, It's just, here's another Black Widow. So, there's a Black Widow assassin.
During the time of the movie Black Widow, I guess Hawkeye was off being Ronin?
No, that was before Black Widow.
That was, okay.
Because that's just after Civil War. That is when Hawkeye, I want to say, is on house arrest.
Uh-huh.
So Hawkeye's on house arrest. Black Widow has been busted out. Because remember, Hawkeye and Ant-Man both went under house arrest.
Right.
And that's why they couldn't be in Endgame. Or that's why they couldn't be in Infinity War.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's complex, but they're doing a lot with it, and they're doing it well.
Right. So, there wouldn't have been time for Natasha. Oh, no.
No, so when they reconnected, I'm sure they talked about it, but unless she had, photos of her, she wouldn't know what she looked like. And honestly, from his perspective, he may still think of her as 6-year-old Yelena. Because, it's like anytime you tell stories about your family and you have them in that state, you very rarely talk about them when they're 30. You talk about them when they're 8, It's
right.
When you get to a certain age, you're like, yeah, oh, my little baby sister Yelena, and that's probably the image he's been given of her. Even if he knows she's a Black Widow, he's probably thinking this little toddler, in a jumpsuit, And so when he actually fights her, he doesn't realize it. He just knows the fighting style. And then once we know who she is, but he doesn't yet. He just knows this has gotten way out of hand, and he doesn't want Kate there, and does the lassie. He pulls a lassie on her, as they say, which is, "Go away, boy! I don't even want you here. I never liked you."
That always makes me think of the end of Harry and the Hendersons.
Yeah,
where he's trying to get Harry to go back in the woods, and he slaps him in the face. My God, I don't know. I was 8 or something when I saw it, but to me, it was like, man, what a powerful scene that was. It made me cry when I was like, "Go, Harry, go!"
Yeah. Well, and to be fair, it is a image that there's a reason it exists. I think it might originally be from Sounder, but I could be mistaken on that. But yeah, when you try to get the dog to go away,
right.
Like there's too much danger, and you have to get the animal to go away, and anyway, it's all a bunch of stuff.
Also, you also get that great moment where, like, he tells her, "I didn't take the shot when it was Yelena because I knew she wanted out," and they have that little moment where Yelena is like in her sight, in Kate's sight, and she just goes no, and she's like, "All right, what's happening here?" And she lets her go. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah. The question is like, was that her? They're just like, you don't even want to try that, like, kid.
Or what I read from it, he goes, "That's not the right move.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not the bad guy." And I think that, like, she understood it right off the bat. Like, and it showed that she took some of those lessons to heart, right? Your actions now have consequences. We're not playing around anymore. And like, when I chose to just take a second look at what I was doing, chose not to do it, it was the right move. And if I hadn't made it, imagine, look at how messed up I am right now because of what happened to Natasha, so it seems like she's a bit more level-headed, or willing to, like, just think about things for a second before she acts. So that's a sign of growth,
No, it absolutely is. And what I will say in this is that definitely, Yelena is coming at it from a perspective of she's involved in this, but she's still hedging
one of the good guys.
Her bets. Well, she's hedging, because you'll see throughout this, she fights Maya, she fights Hawkeye, she fights Kate. But at no point does she, and in fact, when she pushes Kate off the building, she intentionally gets her a grapple, because he knows, I'm not trying to kill this kid.
Yeah.
And even though she says she's trying to kill Hawkeye, she seems to not be actively trying to kill Hawkeye.
Yeah.
It's like, it really almost seems like she wants to just, beat Hawkeye down so she can have a big scene with him.
I think she just wants the objective. The objective is to get that the watch. Possibly.
See, I don't know who wants the watch right now. That's the thing. I don't know if the watch is a MacGuffin is as much of a MacGuffin as it could be. It's like, I don't know. I don't know if Yelena wants the watch or she just wants to kill Hawkeye.
No, because it makes sense to me. Like, if she's working for Valentina, then it makes sense that Valentina wants leverage on an Avenger.
Yeah, but again, it's this question of, is it because Valentina wants the watch, or is it because she wants to get this person into this position?
She wants to draft Hawkeye.
Maybe, or maybe she wants to draft Kate. It's we don't know how deep the Countess's ideas are going.
Right, because she has also been trained secretly by the shadowy figures in her life, namely her mom and whoever else in the underworld that she grew up around. Well, much like Maya was trained. So it feels like that's the trope that they're trying to go with.
And it's an interesting thing, and it's interesting leading up to Secret Invasion, because that's where we actually first get the Secret Warriors, which was something from Fury's files, which were a bunch of metahumans and superheroics, highly skilled people who weren't on anyone's radar yet. And that is something that very much ties into the Young Avengers and other things, where there are these beings out there that, no one knows about, no one's thinking about, but that maybe haven't been replaced yet. And as we're when we start to realize that something's up, maybe we need to sort of put things in order. Maybe we need to make sure that we've got people that we know are off the radar. Maybe even people that are a little bit suspect. And that becomes that interesting possibility that, maybe we are supposed to think the Contessa's on the bad side, but maybe she knows something that things are going to get weird. And we need to find who can we trust, not in the sense that who is Captain America, but who is the person that no one thought to replace yet. And that, I think, is where you're going to get, that could be what we're going to see next. That's a possibility.
I think she's a really, really good, organizer of people and intentions, and she knows how to motivate people. Be it for in good or evil, nefarious or whatever ways, she knows how to incentivize people to get the job done.
I am so excited to see what they do with Julia Louis-Dreyfus in the future. She is just such a great actress and character, and I know they're going to do so much with that character.
I can't wait.
Where you're going to be like, oh, that is brilliant. And honestly, with all of the squeeing that I'm hearing right now about, I can't wait to see No Way Home.
Yeah.
I know nothing about it. It's all spoilers. It's all spoiler free, and I haven't seen it yet. And I'm intentionally avoiding spoilers because of that. I don't care what the end credit scene is. I don't care what this is. I want to see this film because I get the feeling there's a lot of squee that we're going to get in this.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm going to see it tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh man. It comes out on the 17th. Oh, it's nationwide 17th.
Yeah.
So in New York,
when they say 17th, it's always a day early. There's always early, matinees at
midnight show or something like that.
No, I'm going at 3 p.m. tomorrow.
Oh wow, okay. Well, I'll figure it out. I'm not going till Saturday. I don't have time till Saturday, but Saturday I'm going to go see it. That's my goal.
I'm leaving work early to go see it.
Well, you should. You should.
Yeah, I never take a day off, so.
Fair enough. All right, Mozz, any final thoughts on tonight's episode?
No, I just watching Hawkeye think that he was going to lose somebody else. That shook him to his core.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. After that moment, I don't know if I can believe a scenario where he would accept her back into under his arm. He's got to being a human being, experiencing that moment. He's got to run so far away and never sort of let anybody be in that role ever again.
Yeah.
So if they're going to try to make them buddy cop, it's going to be hard to pull it off. I hope they can, but it seems like,
yeah. Well, I would imagine that if they're going to do anything like that, it's going to be literally it's how it's forced into it. It's it's not that he wants to be buddy cop with her.
Right.
But what are you going to do?
Right. No, but the showrunners want him to be buddy cop. So, after that moment, it's going to be interesting to see how they earn that back.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see that in the next episode. Mozz, I love talking to you. I get to do it once a week. It's the best thing in my life. I got to tell you, I look forward to it every day until we do it. But not everyone gets that chance, but they could. Could. How could people reach out to you if they wanted to talk to you?
They could email me at mozzmanzor@gmail.com or find me on Facebook under Mozz Manzor. That's MOZZMANZOOR.
All righty. Of course, you can always write to the overall brand, Capes and Lunatics, because we are on the Capes and Lunatics network here at capesandlunatics@gmail.com. You can call us and leave us a voicemail. Talk about any crazy theories you have at 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And of course, go to Linktree, /Capes and Lunatics. That's LINKTR patreon.com/capesandlunatics. It's the forward slash, I think,
Yeah.
where it goes left to upper right / Capes and Lunatics.
The left uppercut.
Might be a backslash. I don't know.
The left uppercut. That's a forward slash.
Yeah. Anyway, it's linktr.ee back upper slash
Forward slash.
/ Capes and Lunatics, all one word. And there you can access all of our merch for the Capes and Lunatics folks. You can find out about our Patreon, because, we're all paying for this ourselves now, And you can help us out and make a better podcast for you. And, of course, if you're not interested in any of that, but you just want to talk to me because you just think I'm so awesome, you can write to me in that old-fashioned email way that our mothers and fathers once did at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. Of course, follow me on Twitter as I live tweet things when I feel like it. But right now, there's nothing really new out to live tweet, but I will when something else comes. At Charlie Esser. That's CHARLIE. Yes, SCR. Look for the two E's in the middle. For what?
For quality. Bing.
Thank you, Mozz. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Avast me hearties. You have come through another raucous trip down the bounding main with me and me first mate Mozz, sailing the wide Sargasso Sea of streaming content. Please come back again next week when we'll once again sail full stream ahead. Arr.